Hello, I'm Ruchi Kaushik. I teach English at Sri Ram College of Commerce, and I'm here today for a video recording on an interactive classroom session on LLC 2, and I'm very proud to get along with me my bright and energetic students from Sri Ram College of Commerce. All of you are BCom Honours Semester 1 students. I will just introduce you to Unit 3. We will touch beyond the classroom. Tell me, what do you understand by the concept of a classroom? Yes, Shubham.
Classroom is particularly that area where the process of mentorship goes on.
Okay.
Like, there is a mentor and there are students. So there is a continuous interactive session between the mentor and the students whereby the process of learning takes place.
Okay. Anybody else? So what Shubham is trying to say is that there is a structure, there is some formality to the process. Okay. Anybody else who has any other definition of what a classroom is? Vidushi?
Ma'am, I feel that the stereotypical image of a classroom is with four walls and a blackboard and a teacher on one side and students on the other. But I feel a classroom can be, you can learn anywhere. So you can learn in the playground or in any forum. So a classroom can be basically anywhere where you're learning something.
All right, if what Vidushi says is right, then why do you think that this course should have a unit on this concept and particularly titled Beyond the Classroom? Rajita, please.
At present, like, we emphasize on learning beyond the classroom, but we still are like going through like the conventional studying stuff. Like, still we focus on learning in the classroom. We try to learn it practically, but this is a point like where we are lacking at the moment.
Okay, all right. Give me 3 things that you associate with learning beyond the classroom. Quickly, Sasha.
The first thing that I associate with learning outside the classroom is fun.
Okay, good. Right now, okay. Yes, Vishesh.
Ma'am, basically we are learning discipline outside the class, how to deal with the nature and its consequences if we fight with the nature or just...
Okay, Iti.
Beyond the classroom would mean no authority, no formality.
Yes, I wish that was so. But I think there is some level of hierarchy present even in the interaction that we are having now. But you are very correct in saying anything that we learn from experience, anything that we learn beyond what is termed as the formal interaction and is fun, but is equally educating, informative, worth looking forward to, is beyond the classroom. Now, today's session in particular is going to be on Milkha Singh's interview. You have all read Milkha Singh's interview. We did it the last time and we screened Bhag Milkha Bhag in the morning. Now, tell me, how many of you liked the movie? Okay, quickly, Arushi, why did you like the movie?
Basically, it's about how a person who is from such a it's about a person who is from that background where he could not get enough opportunities to rise to such a level. Even then, he could become the flying sick.
Okay, fantastic. Humble beginning, hard work, determination, and he reaches the top. Disha, you wanted to add to it?
I like the story because it was very eventful. You know, a lot of events were taking place one after the other and we could learn from each and every event of his life.
All right. Now tell me, if I were to take you back to the interview that is there in the book, what is your assessment of that interview in terms of the questions? Now you know much more about Milkha Singh. You've also read some articles on some websites. You watched the movie, so you have enough information about Milkha Singh. What is your assessment of the interview? Sasha?
According to me, the interview is well framed. The questions that are being asked to Milkha Singh are related to his life, and moreover the answers that he has given portrays his entire life in front of us.
All right. Before we go any further, could anyone tell me why are interviews important? Do you think they are as important, say, books or essays or poems? As a literary genre, do you think interviews have some significance? Yes, Bhavna, Shivani, sorry.
interview helps us to relate to that person.
Okay.
When we see that what he thinks for this particular question,
Okay.
we can really relate to our life that yes, it sometimes happened to us also.
Okay, so there is this, identification because the questions that are being asked are, of a personal nature. All right. Anything else, Ridhima?
Ma'am, the same thing. We attach value to it, and there is a lot of personal connection that we can establish by it. We would like to know if we are if we idolize somebody, we would like to know how he is in his day-to-day life. So I think that really brings up.
All right. Now, Sasha said very good things about the interview, which are, correct, that some important questions asked, there's a structure to the questions and the answers are also accordingly given. Anybody else who has a contrary viewpoint? Shreya?
I feel the interview doesn't have a structure. At one moment of time, the interviewer is asking about his son, and the next moment he's asking about the condition in athletics. So there's no relation between the answer Milkha Singh is giving and the next question the interviewer is asking.
How many of you felt that when you read the interview? All right, did you feel that it wasn't very spontaneous, that the questions were not really emerging from the responses that Milkha was giving? Okay, all right. In that case, now you've watched the movie. Tell me, if I were to ask you any one question that you would want the interviewer to have concentrated on or focused on, depending on your assessment or understanding of the movie, anything that you feel is getting missed out or is not being highlighted in the interview given in your book? Yes, Sharada.
You could have also asked Milkha Singh about the partition, because that played a very important role in his sports too, the Rome Olympics and everything. So I think if the interviewer had focused more on the partition, the interview would have been more interesting and we'd have gotten a better idea of why in the Rome Olympics he missed out on it.
All right, very good. Anybody else?
I think there should be given that how at that time technology was not so much given for the sports, so how he was able to honor his skills. So it should be means more illustrative, so that we were able to understand how he did it.
All right, and if you, yes, Shubham, you want to add something?
In the recent past, we have seen that there has been much of allegations against sports person. So you should bring out something like how in particular sports person should deal this or how should they focus on fair play, basically.
All right. Now, give me very quickly 2 or 3 important characteristics of what you would term as a good interview. Anurvi?
I think when it's inspiring to the reader, like when we read it, we gain some inspiration and like we want to do something. Okay. It's a motivational interview.
Yes, Gautam?
According to me, the interview should be informative and should not hurt the sentiments of the particular person or particular group. Okay. And must bring forward some of the motivational things, like in this interview it has been brought further.
Okay, so informative, inspiring, what else? Shreya?
Ma'am, what I think that make a connect with the audience, like for the readers basically. There should be some connecting power in the interview so that the readers do not find it monotonous or boring, and they should connect it and must be able to take full interest in the interview.
All right, very good. And in fact, I think a couple of tasks ahead, there is a sample of another interview and we will do a comparative analysis of the 2 interviews, and then we are going to put the characteristics, the shortcomings and maybe some of the plus points of both the interviews. We'll do that, but right now let's do some tasks in the class. Okay, I'll give you time to prepare on it, and if we could just look at the tasks. Okay, I'm going to give you a variety of tasks. 2 are going to be pair work. So whoever wants to get into a pair, you could sit with your friend, and there are 2 things that you need to work on. One is going to be frame any 3 questions that you think are important, of course based on your understanding of whatever you've collected about Milkha from the movie or from other material that you've read. Okay, 3 questions that you think the interviewer ought to have asked Milkha Singh in the interview. Frame those questions. The second activity is, so it's a choice. Okay, you could do this, or you could come here and present a short interview with any famous Indian personality, highlighting the characteristics of a good interview. Is that clear? Yes. and some of you will get group work. So whoever wants to join a group can take these activities up. I am giving you two options. One is, you come here and present a panel discussion on a news channel highlighting the shortcomings in the contemporary scenario of sports in India. Okay, is that clear? And the other would be, now one very prominent theme that has emerged, as Sharda very correctly pointed out, is the whole idea of partition. Okay, you remember Milkha, the way, in fact, that's the reason why he loses the Rome Olympics, because for a moment there's a flashback, he goes back, and these are very agonizing memories, traumatic memories that keep troubling him. Absolutely. And you remember the scenes when he's leaving the village, when the entire with his family, the entire village is swept, it's sort of completely murdered, and consequently, those details about the camps, okay, the refugee camps, what happens to Milkha, and he's all along with his sister. Okay, he finds the sister in the refugee camp. But talking about the sister, did you notice anything particular about the experience that she undergoes? Is it the same? She's also experienced pain and trauma. Is the experience same? Vidushi, quickly.
No ma'am, the experience for the sister was different, and I think for men and women it was pretty different. The experiences in partition was different, and as I think one scene in the movie where his sister had to undergo marital rape, and there was a lack of privacy, and there was lack of sensitivity on the part of the husband, which really I think was very sad, and it really moved us. And I think a lot of women had to undergo such circumstances during partition where they were raped and they had to kill themselves, and yes, it was very different for both men and women.
Okay, so I'm sure Vidushi is going to work on the the idea of partition, the representation of partition. And for those of you who want to work on the representation of partition, I will just give you quickly 2 or 3 short stories. You could read and read up any of those. I'm giving you Manto's Toba Tek Singh, Kholdo, and Rajendra Singh Bedi's Lajwanti. Okay, just so you will have to incorporate it in your presentation, and maybe title is something like reinterrogating partition. Talking about women's experiences. Is this clear? I'll give you time now, maybe 15 to 20 minutes from now, and then we have both the presentations here. Any questions? Alright, and I'm doing the round, so anybody who has any question could ask me. What are you working on? Framing of questions? Okay, so have you thought of questions? Yes. Okay, good. Alright, so who is willing to make the first presentation? Your group. And what are you working on? Okay, so come here.
Okay, good evening everyone. This is NDTV at 9 and I'm Sharda Anand reporting. Today we have a discussion, a panel discussion, and our topic for today's discussion is the shortcomings in contemporary sports. Today's panel consists of Kapil Dev, Sania Mirza and PT Usha and myself. So we'd like to discuss on the shortcomings on contemporary sports. So I'd like to start with Mr. Kapil Dev. So please tell me how you think sports has changed from being people who play for the love of the country and love for the sport. Now it's changed a lot. There's match fixing and doping and stuff with bookies going on. So how do you think cricket has changed as a sport, sir?
You see, I being considered an eminent sports personality in the cricket era, you might be thinking I'll be defending the sport, but I do agree to the point that cricket has changed a lot. When we used to play for the love of the game. We used to play for our country. But now I see youngsters just betting around on the sport. They are involved in match fixing. They are involved in the bookies and all. The glamour has taken over the sport, and I find it very much intervening in the life of the person. Whenever I visit any place, I am always associated with this glamour and all.
So, what is your take on IPL, sir? The cheerleading and all that associated with it. Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's, you know?
Obviously, the cheerleaders are a distracting point for any of the cricket player, and the BCCI must consider that the cheerleaders must be banned from the game, and the game should be concentrated upon, and all the factors that are distracting points, and most importantly the party times that I personally see and perceive that it is a bad factor for the game.
Yeah, it spoils the concentration of the players for
Yes.
the next match.
Yes.
So you think sports has gone, your cricket has gone a lot from being a sport to being commercial business, right?
Yes.
So what's your take on it, Miss P.T. Usha?
Well, our country is a country which always has perceived that women are the weaker sex. We're never given the opportunities, the same opportunities as the men get. When I started my career as a athletic person, everyone, when I said I run 100 meter, 200, they just laughed off at me. Nobody paid attention to me. No company was like ready to fund me or anything. I faced so many problems. It was very tough for me to enter into the field of sports as a woman, and I feel that it's changing. Women nowadays are becoming more intelligent. And
I'm sorry, I would like to contradict to that. See, in spite of me doing so well in my career, I am everybody is into, my parents are all right with me wearing a short skirt. It is very difficult for me. I do not understand how is it possible that if tomorrow if I wear a particular shirt or a skirt, the entire India would be talking about it. How is it, in spite of me doing so well in my career, it is very difficult for a woman to sustain here in sports especially. So I think that is, I don't think it's, we obviously people are becoming more open to it, but we are not improving at a very fast pace.
So ma'am, do you think the situation is changing, or is it still remaining the same in the recent times?
I think for me, from my personal experience, I think it's the same when I am representing my own country and winning at an international level, just by wearing a short skirt, which I am by doing so I am following the norms of the international standards. So
And
yeah,
it is very demotivating.
it is. Of course, it's affecting my game.
Yeah.
It is.
So you think this gender issue is a very main thing in the recent sports arena, right?
yeah, I do feel gender is a major issue. I'm running a academy and I see only men coming. I do not see women, children wanting to learn sports. They are just told to sit at home and cook. We should aim at changing that perspective, because women should get the same opportunities as the men. So yeah.
Sir, what do you think about the cricket as a gender issue? Like, why is the boys cricket team being so overhyped? And I don't think any of us watch women's cricket at all, but boys cricket is being so overhyped, and so the talent is not less, right? So why do you think, and what is your take on that, sir?
I do personally believe and perceive that the boys cricket team is being overhyped, and the women's cricket team do not even enjoy the sponsorship, and no solution can be there. This was a statement being passed by an official. The boards of the cricket and the board that supports the cricket, the board that supports a particular sport has to take an action that will look into further the matters.
That is exactly the problem. Our high authority figures are the ones who are not, I wouldn't say not educated, but they are not well aware of the fact they need to support women. They need to encourage women to enter sports. It is a career in itself.
Okay, I thank you all for being here today. We're running short on time on our channel right now, so we're going to move on to the next session. So I thank all of you for being here today, and your views are very valuable. Thank you so much.
And I like the spontaneity, the enthusiasm. So all of you, well done. And we have some feedback. Please, would you want to come here and answer the questions? Please do.
Ma'am, I think there should be a person from sports ministry or a board.
Yes, okay, that's very well said, Mayur. I was also thinking about it. Yes, that's a good point. That maybe, you know, I was also anticipating that you would probably have the sports minister, because you would have somebody from the authority answer some of the questions that were asked were very, very intelligent and, you know, worth discussing. Yes, Iti?
The panel discussion was good. Only one point that I found really like disturbing was, like, in my views, cricket has really done well in marketing itself. I think other sports should learn from it how to market themselves, because even though now commercial like buzz has taken over cricket, but still it's selling and people are coming up. So that is one point. It was not like that when we you know, that 1948, back in 1948.
Okay.
But now it has grown like anything.
Well, I don't think sports is a business that has to be marketed.
Exactly, it's for fun. And
you
also,
don't have to market any sport.
if it's for fun, you don't expect sponsors, you don't expect money. It's not for fun. You come.
See,
you
the
play
point
for
is
fun,
cricket
you
has
are
always
there
got
to
more
live.
limelight than any other
Yes,
sport in our
yes.
country. It has always got more limelight than.
Because it's a classic case of a good marketing. And I
But
think other
this
sports
is-
should learn from it.
See,
Like,
what our discussion, our topic for the discussion was how sports is becoming more of a business and how it's becoming very commercial. As
So I think what you're saying is actually in our.
But may I answer Iti's question? And that's an very interesting question, Iti. Tell me, when you're talking about the whole idea of marketing and you feel that, you know, cricket is one sport that is managing its marketing very well, where does the notion of marketing emerge from? There has to be some potential. The corporate sector, all your sponsors must have thought that it is worth investing money in. Do you see that happening in hockey? Do you see that happening in wrestling? No, because primarily Indians are, you know, big cricket fans.
See that, I personally feel that it depends upon the perception of the country itself. Like in India, cricket is like religion, but if you go to Africa or some other country, it depends from country to country how they perceive a particular sport. So I think we can't change it.
All right.
Going off topic
Okay.
right
All
now.
right. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes, Aprajita, quickly.
So no doubt, yeah, like the panel discussion was like very resourceful for us. But I personally feel you should have like taken up the issues of athletes or sports person taking drugs in the doping stuff. That's
And that's also referred to in Milkha's interview. Remember all the shortcuts. No, but they did touch on the gratification, on the instant gratification in sports. That's become very important because you did have Gautam enacting, as Kapil Dev. He did mention that, you know, it was sheer hard work and determination when you talked about the earlier generation. But now everybody is looking for instant gratification. So that idea maybe could have been, elaborated on. All right, thank you so much. And who's making the next presentation?
So today we are making a presentation on how partition affected Milkha Singh's life and how partition in general affected people's lives and what a devastating experience it was for people. And I'm Vidushi, and we're gonna, as we read, we saw in the movie how it shaped his life to an extent about his tormenting experience, and we're going to talk about other sources of literature and movies that we've seen before, and how we're gonna relate them to Milkha Singh's experience as well.
I am Vishesh. Basically, we are talking about the partition of India. The partition of India was such an event which devastated both the nations, India and Pakistan. It is one of the largest migration of human race which shocked everybody. I think it is very depressing and distressing to see that men were slaughtered, women were raped, communal rights were there, everything was there. So my friend Sasha is going to elaborate about what was the consequences of war, what was the consequences of partition there.
I'm Sasha. I will be majorly talking about the effect or consequences of partition which were not same for both the genders. That is, they were different for women and they were different from men. As we saw in our last class, the movie Bhag Milkha Bhag clearly depicted that the experience of the partition was different for Milkha Singh and it was different for Milkha Singh's sister. As it was shown in the movie that she was brutally raped by her husband, there was no privacy for her, and moreover, not just talking about privacy, the condition that they were living in, the refugee camps that they were living in, and the kind of food that was available to them was of no standard at all, and moreover it was not even available for everyone. They are all the people living in the refugee camps have to fight for food, which is a basic necessity that we all are using nowadays. So now I'll be giving the mic to Vidushi.
So we've read many stories, we've seen many movies about partition and how women have been affected by partition, and how they've been brutally raped again and again, and so many of them actually used to jump in wells. They used to actually commit suicide, have poison, so that they don't have to be caught by men, and they found it better to end their lives. One such story that really moved me was Kholdo by Manto, which talks about this man called Sirajuddin who's lost his daughter, and he's desperately trying to find his daughter. And there are a few men who are there to help people locate their families. And so he describes his daughter Sakina to the men, and they assure him that they'll bring her back to him. And in the story, we get to know that those men actually found Sakina, and instead of bringing her back to Sirajuddin, they brutally raped her again and again, and to an extent that she lost all emotions, to an extent where she lost all sense of what's happening around her. And Shreya also really liked the story, so she would.
Yeah, the story was immensely great. After I would like to continue after Vidushi. As she said, the hospital in which she was admitted, the doctor asked her father to open the window. So he says khol do. So we can see the mental torture of Sakina. Like the words khol do meant to her to open her salwar and let the men, rape her again and again. So the only word she could hear was khol do. Khol do is like the mental torture or the emotions in her could be portrayed in the story very well. So we have also seen many movies like Gadar in which women were given poisonous material venom to consume. So instead of handing themselves or surrendering to themselves to over the wild beast who would rape them, they would love to die with dignity and with purity and without being raped by the wild beasts.
Okay, so this actually showed the condition of women at that time. Now Akash will continue.
Hi everyone, I'm Akash. How many of you think that the effect of partition still persists in today's world, in the 21st century? It is true, like when we see in India-Pakistan cricket match, the people who are not even interested in cricket, they also get enthusiastic and they watch the match, and they of course support India. If I talk about me personally, I'm not too interested in hockey, but when it comes to India-Pakistan hockey match, I feel like watching it and cheering for India. So we conclude like that the effect of partition is not equally for men and women, and also it exists in today's world. Thank you.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, the group. I think that was a good presentation. I will just invite questions in a short while, but I really liked the conclusion because in a way Akash did what I wanted to. I wanted to come in and, speak myself because, the whole idea of the legacy of partition, it still lives, okay? And very interesting literary pieces. There's again a short prose piece which is called The Ghost of Mrs. Gandhi by Amitav Ghosh, okay? If you get time, read it up. There's another short story by Manto, The Dog of Tetwal, okay? All these stories interrogate how partition, the memories of it, that hatred, idea of violence, bloodshed, that's still in our psyche, very much a part of our system. All right, some feedback on the presentation, please. Shubham?
Like if we go way back to in 1947, there was much of disturbance between the Hindu religion and the Muslim religion, which was a major reason that forced partition. So don't you think it is good that we had partition so that we are living in peace right now?
I would like to answer to this question that more than the religion, part of it, the partition of India was due to politics, which happened during that time, and the British rule, which is, and if I've read many stories about partition, and I would recommend you read the story called Train to Pakistan by Khushwant Singh.
That's a novel.
It's a novel, sorry, book. And so many villages and many towns in the interior of Punjab did not even know they were living in harmony. Hindus and Muslims were living in harmony. And I've seen the interview of Milkha Singh on partition. If you go to on YouTube, you will find it. Even he said that in his village, people didn't know what partition was. Like they could hear from the bhai in the Gurudwara that something called partition is going to happen, but they were not sure about. And there was harmony among Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs, and they coexisted well. It was more of a political scenario, and just because the religion is different doesn't mean they can't live together.
Okay, last question maybe, Sharda.
Well, as rightly as Vidushi said, partition was very political, but I think religion added fuel to the fire. It became a reason. They, highlighted religion and made it a reason for the partition. And I really liked what they did. They highlighted the gender-biased partition, and I think that is very good. And Cole, though, and as what she.
Yeah, I think all of you read Khol Do. So that. Okay, and as you know, as I particularly thought of this presentation because when you talk of history, okay, history means facts, figures. It's usually the objective version that's available. What about personal narratives, and that too from a gendered perspective? So in that, and I think all of you have taken very well to this. So thank you. Thank you. Please keep this in mind, and next time we are going to proceed to Murthy's speech, which is on the whole idea, the need for excellence, okay? And how do you make that connect? Do you think they connect well? Who is Narayan Murthy, by the way? He was in news recently. Why was he in news? All right, and he talks of excellence. So the connecting point is that Milkha Singh's interview also talks about determination, hard work, self-confidence, absolutely. And Murthy also does that, but they do it in differently, okay, in terms of genre, because one is an interview, the other is a speech, and also in terms of content. So in the next class, we will discuss that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.